Rick summed it up. Where do we go from here? And what he didn't say was good luck, but I think we're going to need that. See if I can figure this out. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the lessons from TIRS, the thermal infrared sensor. Is this on? Am I talking to it?
Just keep it close.
Hard to take. Sure. The first lesson, list and quantify, if you can, the benefits of whatever it is that you're doing. Okay? Second, identify the beneficiaries. Who benefits from whatever it is you're doing? And the third lesson is mobilize those beneficiaries in support of whatever it is you're doing. Hopefully that's Landsat based. This is what needs to be done in order to get what you want. And what we're going to talk about here this afternoon is a little bit about mobilizing the beneficiaries, not the first two. I thought this was particularly interesting. I don't know how many of you have read the National Research Council's decadal survey, but they observed that Landsat observations have provided the best means of examining the relationship. The best means. That's how they describe Landsat. And yet, the NASA Inspector General said that the land remote sensing system is in jeopardy because no federal agency has been given overall responsibility for the program. Well, there are a lot of things that means, and I won't go into all of them. I just want to talk about the options right now for Landsat 9. It takes about 6 years to get one of those things up after it's authorized. And Landsat 8 has a 5-year design life. That puts it out to sometime in 2018. It may very well last a lot longer than that, but the design life is 5 years. So if we launch Landsat 9 6 years from now, that takes us to about 2019. We're at the end of this year. So 2018, the design end of Landsat 8. 2019, the start of Landsat 9. Already, we have a potential data gap. Okay?
And Jim Irons would point out that TIRS has a design life of 3 years, right?
And it took us 7 years to build Landsat 7 years to build LDCM.
I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying to be optimistic here. So, there's a lot of talk about redesigning Landsat 9 to make it cheaper. Okay? If Landsat 9 is redesigned, we're looking at a big data gap. How big? Don't know. Depends on how long this process of iterating on a Landsat 9 might take. One of the options that there's a lot of talk about is small sats, because they're cheap. They're cheap, they're small, they're quick, they're easy. The problem is small sat is an immature technology. There's no room, not going to be room for a thermal on a small sat. As far as I know, small sats have never flown a shortwave infrared. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim. Which make small sats at best a dubious choice for Landsat 9. So if anybody starts talking about small sats to you, you know that that's not a reasonable option. The best option for Landsat 9 is very simple. Build a clone of Landsat 8. We know how to do it, know what it looks like. The plans are there. That's the best option. Okay, so what do we need? Data continuity ought to be a settled issue by now. Landsat's 40 years old. Why are we looking at circumstances under which there'll be potentially a data gap? I mean, it's just no need for that. Somebody needs to make a decision to begin the process of designing, building, authorizing, and launching Landsat 9. And what that means is the funding needs to get into the pipeline just as soon as possible. That's going to come from Congress. Okay? If that doesn't happen, we're looking at potential for data gaps. And if we have data gaps, we're going to be losing a powerful tool. What does Landsat cost? Well, I went back and trolled through maybe that's the wrong word, farmed the net for the cost of various Landsats. And I found a bunch of costs. I don't advertise that they're perfect, but there's as close as I could come. And then I adjusted them for inflation into 2012 dollars. And what we see is that all of the Landsat satellites have cost about the same amount of money, about $1 billion in 2012 dollars in real terms. The interesting thing is that the design life for the first three was 1 year, then it went to 3 years, now it's gone to 5 years. So the design life has increased fivefold, even though the cost in real terms has stayed the same. And I think, as we all know, we went from MSS, 4 bands, relatively naive bands in Landsats 1, 2, and 3, to some pretty sophisticated band placements in Landsat 5, 6, well, not 6, 7, and Landsat 8. They are terrific scientific instruments, and yet the cost really has not changed from the beginning of the program. Much better product is available now. Okay. How do we go about getting this? Well, those in the audience who know me will know that this is my preferred approach. Now, that's not everybody's preferred approach. That's probably not the best approach. Okay, I admit it. So, rather, what will happen is when I say we, I mean Rick Allen. He thinks it's going to be me, but we'll send you an email. And in that email, we're going to propose a fast build of Landsat 9, that being a clone of Landsat 8, that the planning and funding for Landsat 9, why did I say Landsat 10? Okay, for Landsat 10,
Oh, 9. No, 9.
that's 9?
No, 10. You're right. Sorry.
Guys, math questions. We'll begin in FY14. There will be some design options for Landsat 10 that are reasonable, but we should consider multiple simultaneous builds for Landsat 10, okay, for 2 reasons. One of them is risk mitigation, right? If one of the satellites doesn't make it into orbit, we get a backup. And the second reason is if the first one does make it into orbit, we have another one that can go up, and we'll have a better coverage, fewer days in the return cycle. And that ultimately what's needed for the water community is a 4-day return cycle. That would be perfect. Yeah, we know we're probably not going to make it to perfection, but people at least need to understand what the overall goal would be, what what the best case would be. Please respond to that email with your opinion on these proposals. If you agree with them, if you don't agree with them, if you have alternatives, modifications. What we're trying to do is get feedback from a group that we can then turn over to everybody we can talk to who will be interested, mainly to our various congressional representatives. And what Rick will then do after he gets all of your returns and collates all of the responses, right? Good, he'll do it. Is put it all together, send it all back out to you, as well as our sending it to the appropriate sources, and you can use it to send it to whomever is a responsible party in your state in order to get this ball rolling and get Landsat 9 funded, built, and launched.